This is a how-to video of our next project. We are incorporating some science with our computer class. So you guys have talked about mass before, correct, in science? Do we remember what the definition of mass is? Volume. Can be like how heavy, depending on how much mass you have, something could sink or float, correct? All right, so what we're going to do today in Scratch, we're going to go to a new one, create, and we're going to call this sink or float. All right, what you're going to do is select 5 sprites, and then you're going to determine whether they sink or float. Well, that means you're going to program them. What I am going to, I could say choose any background you want, but you need to think about this. If we're going to talk about sinking or floating, this needs to look like you got water at some point and no water at the top. So I'm going to suggest go with sky blue as an option, or you can do your own. You can come into your background and with a drawing tool, I'm going to click here, the little paintbrush, and you can give yourself some waves because that'll give us a water line. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit over. That gives me a water line. So you can do as much as you want. If you want to do some white caps, you can. But we're just trying to determine a water line. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and get rid of this one. And then I don't need to do any coding there. Just come in here to the sprites and think of things like you got baseball, you got an apple, regular balls, things like that. So what you think, what you're going to talk about, I'm not going to expect you to explain the mass of your project or the items that you select, but you're going to code whether they sink or float. Let's see. A bell. I'll choose a bell. That's going to be my option. So you're going to have all your sprites. Your sprites can, I'm going to let you decide where they're going to start, okay? You're going to have your sprites. If you need to change sizes, remember you do that there. But what I want you to do with this coding, I don't want this to be like our animated name where you click the flag and it does everything. We're going to bring in extensions with the text-to-speech. So you can add that. And I'm looking for an event. I'm going to let you guys know I think your event should be when you click the sprite. And when you click the green flag, make that when you explain what the project is. And you can use the text to speak. So you'll bring that over. And what you're going to need to say, what you're going to need to type in here. And remember, we've got to use punctuation. If you don't put the period in and put a space, it's going to say dot. This is explaining that this is a game to determine if something sinks or floats based on the mass of the item. And I will write that down so you can kind of write it in your own words. But that's what it is. It's just like if you were explaining in class in science when you have a bucket of water, you're going to put something in, you can explain is it going to sink or float based on the amount of mass. I'm not going to make you measure everything. But so when you click the green flag, hello, because this says hello, but it's going to say what we're going to do. It also needs to give you the instructions. You must click on the sprite to find out if it sinks or floats. So you got to think about, yesterday in class we brainstormed how we would use, we could have a go to XY, we could have it move, if we just move 10 steps, remember we talked about that's making it move along that axis, so that's probably not a good option because, for example, if we had a bell, kind of like a little Christmas bell that you ring, do you guys think it would sink or float? It's going to probably be made, bells are usually made out of metal, so they can make that dinging sound. So it would sink. So when I click on the sprite, my sprite needs to sink to the bottom, correct? If it was something like a light beach ball, what do you think it would do? Probably float. So that means it would need to be on top of the water line. So you've got to think about what code are you using that when I click on the item, it's either going to sink or it's going to float. All right. Now, all sprites are going to have a starting location. You can have them at the top if you like. You can have them in the middle. I wouldn't put it on the bottom because if it does need a sink, it's not going to sink, right? But you got to have a starting point, maybe right in the middle. But we need a reset button. So think about what would be a good event block to reset all your sprites so you could play the game a second time.
Red key?
Which one?
Red key button? Red key button.
The red key. Well, the red key, this one, oh, this button here, press key. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you said red key. So it could be the space bar or something else. So think about that. You need an event block to click and see what the sprite does, but we need the green flag and the speak block. So when they click it, it gives the instructions. Now, when we save it onto our project page, you're still going to need to put instructions, which who could think of a basic instruction for the project page? Maybe click the green flag to begin. Because the green flag, if you click it, that speech block is going to tell you what to do, correct? All right. Any questions about what you need to do? How many sprites do you need? 5. All right. Make sure they're size proportion. Which event block are you going to use for each sprite to make it do something? Which event block? Somebody tell me really loud so they can hear us on the video. Which event block am I using so I can have each sprite begin the code? I got it up here. What do you see?
Press key.
Press key is how we're going to reset when the sprite is clicked. That's an inside start button. So that sprite's not going to do anything until I click it. And then when you press a key, specifically the key you say, everything resets. And you can even put a note in here like this. Add comment. Spacebar is our, let's spell that correctly, reset button. All right. I didn't spell. There we go, our button. It still doesn't look right to me. All right, so you can put notes in here like this so you can remember what they're supposed to do. So 5 sprites. Your instructions are going to be with the speech block. Remember, you go down here to extensions to add that. And then a specific way for them to reset. So think about how we're supposed to reset stuff. How are you going to get, if I clicked on my bell and it syncs, how am I going to get it back to this spot? Go back, you can look at old projects for that too. All right? So we got today, which is Wednesday. We're going to work on that today, and you have tomorrow. We'll have 2 days, Wednesday, Thursday. All right? All right. Good luck, and I can't wait to see what sprites you guys select to sink and float.
And look what's in there.